saying writing metaphors, standing at my door. What the fuck are you looking for? Don't talk about my dogs, my crew is hella raw. We're in the telly on the belly of them naked broads. Hennessy toasting while blowing blunts of perp. Why haters keep falling? We try and put in work. See, I was raised a hustler, so I must take advantage. It's just the way it happened, it wasn't the way I planned it. Some cats tried to murder me, but I'm still standing. I leave you alone in the dark, lost, feeling abandoned. In my city these days, some cats are quick to jack you. Run up from behind, pull the 9 and backpack you. I just crack a jack you weak and the phony homies. Running around, spit my name like you fucking know me. The only reason you heard of me is cause your bitch blow me. Way back in the day when I was spraying with the big homie. Rip City, Rip City. I put it down and get around in my town shit, Rip City, Rip City. When we blows in the green, all you smoking with me. Rip City, Rip City. When we blaze girls that burn out in them 530s. Rip City, Rip City. 503, throw it up if you rapping with me. If you rapping with me, you better say it loud. Put your heart in that shit and let them know you proud. For the city where you bang, for the blocks where you slang. Just trying to maintain and stay dry when it rains. So here go, let me hold ya. My mama raised a soldier. This game is never over, so I'm never sober. Spent time with my boy and lost his ass to them rollers. Got back on my feet and spent a week pushing boulders. It's not like it used to be. I know I'm getting old. I feel I'm sinking deeper with all this weight on my shoulders. But I shall stand tall till the day that I fall. On my face with a taste of the ways you can ball. They love it when you're on top, at the bottom they don't call. Dissing on your name while you aiming to break them off. Shit, it won't be too pretty. And I can guarantee that none of these cowards wanna bring beef to my city. Rip City, Rip City. I put it down and get around in my town shit, Rip City, Rip City. When we blows in the green, all you smoking with me. Rip City, Rip City. When we blaze girls that burn out in them 530s. Rip City, Rip City. 503, throw it up if you rapping with me.
And of course, you know, online with us, without further ado, we do have the owner of Redneck Soldier Promotions, Dan Richards. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Happy birthday, Dan Richards. I know you got your birthday show coming up, man.
Yeah, it's coming up quick.
Now, you know, speaking of your birthday bash, it's taking place, of course, March 12th at Mount Tabor Theater in Portland, Oregon, featuring Spice One. What can fans expect, man?
A lot of good local groups, my homie Spice One, and me drinking on some Grey Goose, enjoying it with the fans, and a lot of good homies and some good local artists. I mean, what can you ask for more? You'll see me acting a drunken fool.
Now, you know, of course, after your birthday bash, you have your 3-year show coming up in May featuring Busy Bone. Can you talk about some of the obstacles you've had to overcome so far in the 3 years that you've been around, man?
There's always obstacles, really, but, you know, I see more than anything else, man. You know, when I first started this out, you know, I, of course, started, you know, I'll take you back to the day where I started doing security real quick at the Roseland, and I worked my way up to, you know, just hanging out with the homies after a while, and then I needed a good catchy name, and came up with the Redeck Soldier name, and from there, the only obstacle I saw at first was people kind of like, oh, that name ain't gonna make it. That name ain't gonna make it, man. That's too controversial, too much in your face. And then I was like, you know, that's what you really want. You want a show-stopping name. And, you know, then I said what I really ran into is like a lot. The business is a really grimy business. I mean, you know, I have a lot of great local acts. But there's also a lot of acts out there that, you know, that really don't care about the music scene. They just want to be a rock star, and, you know, they don't care what they leave behind after they do a show. And that's the obstacle. And then, you know, what I really ran into in the Northwest is that none of the artists really work together. You got all these great artists, but none of them ever work together because they were all thinking they were better than everybody else. So this is not a knock on the Northwest groups by any means. It's just nobody's ever organized. And then, you know, it took a good year to really show what I was doing. And then after that first year, working with a select about 30 groups, it started really kicking in. By the second year, I was hitting about 100 groups. And now it's at, you know, doing all these big names, it's really gone to the roof, so.
Now, speaking of the big names you brought in, you know, we kind of listed off a few of them earlier, like King Gordy, Scatterman, Lazy Bone, just to name a few. Who have been your personal favorites to work with that you've brought in?
You know, so far, you know, you know, they're all cool, man, you know, but I spent a lot of time with Lazy Bone. Of course, you know, me being, you know, listening to some in this 93 that came out, I was a pretty big fan, and over the years, you know, I was doing security at Roseland and Rose Garden. Lazy's always been a real cool cat to me. And then when I booked him, I got to spend either the 5 days total with him. It was off the hook, and, you know, obviously he was just the most laid back out of all of them. And don't get me wrong, Mac 10s and Sebos and all them were good. Rap Forte is really awesome, but I really feel like I really connected with it and with Lazy, and it was just off the hook. You know, he was willing to just go out and party. We would play pool. It didn't really matter, so, you know.
Okay. Now, through doing your shows, you've been able to help out a lot of local artists, like Mike Bars, for example, who you've been able to give more exposure to. Can you talk a little bit about what you have to offer artists that you would end up working with?
Well, you know, when I started this thing, I really, really felt that if we all came together and worked with it, then we could all rise together. And I really came in with a different attitude. I felt that, you know, I'm a real open guy, and I already had a lot of connections. I just kind of worked my way from the bottom to the top and earned a lot of connections. Where I'd really give, you know, the Mike Bars and, you know, do Logics. And, you know, I work with so many good artists. You know, I really like to open the doors to see them rise. So, you know, every little connection I get, I try to pass along to the artist that works with me, you know, that I really feel that is taking the time. And don't get me wrong, like I said, there's a lot of great artists in Portland. But, you know, honestly, not all want to work as hard as others. So I really take the ones that want to really super work hard and the ones that have been working with me since day one, and I really work with them real hard. And I just take a couple of them on the side that I really want to work with, and I enjoy their music, and I really take and work with them. So, like I said, you get them the CDs distributing, you give them the artwork done. I don't know, maybe I'm not hitting the question right or the answer right for you, but, you know, I really love the Northwest enough to really put in work. That's why I do 20-hour days in this thing and constantly going and constantly promoting. That's why I'm kind of sick right now, because I was out the other night with one of my artists, Logic, and we were postering in the rain to make sure people came out to Spice Storm. So.
Of course, and you know that's what it takes to make a successful promoter is always the street hustle. Now, I've got to ask you, speaking of the hustle, who are some of your personal influences?
You know, like what basis? I mean, I kind of grew up as a hustler. I mean, I just kind of, you know, no family, no mom, no dad, no nothing really that was around influential. I'm the only one with my grandmother, and, you know, my grandfather was a hard worker, so, you know, I got to say more of my gramps because he told me you can't get nothing in life for free, and if you earn it and you work your ass off for it, you'll appreciate it more. And then I just took all the street mentality, and, you know, that's why I'm out here hustling and grinding every day, and I did, you know, what nobody else has done, to say I'm the last man standing to me. You know, I'm the last of a dying breed. I'm not the faceless promoter. I'm a street promoter. You know, you can go anytime down to Portland, Tiger, anywhere, and you pass me by, I'll say what's up, and I'll have a conversation with you. You know, I'll give you a flyer and try to sell you a ticket to the next show. So.
And, of course, that's what it takes. Now, you've talked a little bit about, obviously, the street hustle part of promoting. What else does it take to become a successful promoter in concerts?
You know, it takes putting up with it. Like I said, it's a real grimy business, and, you know, it's just not an easy business to be in because, you know, you have to deal with the venues, you have to deal with the cops, you have to deal with the mayor, you have to deal with artists, tons of artists, and managers and labels, and, you know, you just have to have a good will to want to do it, and, you know, you got to be a strong person because I've seen people do it for a year and break. You know, it's a high stress. I mean, there's days where I come home and I just feel like screaming at the top of my lungs. You know, and you got to be able to have knocks where you knock someone out. I mean, there's days where, you know, you've got to have the patience for it. And, you know, I don't knock anybody. If everyone wants to try it, cool. It's just you really got to have the mentality to do it, I guess. You've got to be savvy about it, and, you know, you've really got to have, you know, the want to do it, because, trust me, you hear every story in the book, you hear every excuse, you know, and you get the ick of it. I mean, I've been shot at in this business, and, you know, you just got to have that where you want to have that drive.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Hey, it's Kevin Lee. I got a few questions for you.
Yeah,
Before you got started with the concert promoting, I know you had a clothing line called Redneck Soldier Clothing. Can you talk to us a bit about that venture and how it helped evolve you into the service event company?
In the beginning, it was just, it was actually called Northwest Redneck Wear. You know, I was working still as a bouncer, and I worked at a pawn shop, and, you know, I was doing some crazy shit on the side. So I was like, man, you know, I was really at the point where that I got tired of wearing Nike, and, you know, I got tired of these cats wearing FUBU, and I wanted my own thing. So I had a bunch of money saved up. I went into a clothing store, and I was like, I need to buy a bunch of blank shirts. Took it to a screen print place and made a bunch of shirts and called it Northwest Redneck Wear. And I kind of took it as like, hey, I got my own gear. Didn't really do nothing with it. And then everybody always got it messed up. I mean, they were like Redneck Wear, Redneck Northwest. I could never get it right. So in October 2006, I just kind of sat down like, I need a more marketable name. I need something that's going to stop a person in their spot and be like, oh, I like that or I hate that. No matter what, they're going to notice the name. So I muled it over, and, you know, I just kind of went through it. You know, I'm a redneck from Hermiston, Oregon. You know, I'm a good old boy from there, but, you know, I was raised in the hood, so I'm a soldier of the streets, you know. So I figured, hey, why don't I just call it Redneck Soldier? And, you know, my boy Travis Wynn was like, that name ain't going to work, man. You get killed out in Alabama. And a couple of my close homies were like, that ain't going to work, man. That name ain't. No, hell no. And, you know, I really feel that the reason why it really worked was because I just did 20-hour days on this, and the clothing came, and it sold like crazy. But I just like, man, I need something different. And, you know, I needed a way to make money to where I would have to put my own money into it. And then, you know, also more exposure. And I just saw how crappy the artists were treated, so I decided to do concerts. So.
Yeah, for sure. So that's how you got the name Redneck Soldier then, huh?